Hello everyone, and welcome to our YouTube video for the Skills for Success Chapter 1 Grader Assignment, Human Resource Employees. So this is Chapter 1, SR1, and this is just going to be a quick walkthrough of the assignment. Obviously, you would have access to MyITLab, and you would have to download the 3 files that are required. One of them is the Access Database file, which I have open currently. Secondly, you would like to download the instructions so you know what to do with it. And the last file that you need to download is the actual Excel file that you're going to import into your database to bring data over. The first thing I need to do is I need to ensure that the content is enabled. So I'm going to make sure that this security warning is no longer in the way. And I'm going to click on it to enable it. And I might have to click it twice, which is good. What you're going to notice is there is an employees table in this database, and that's all we have. There's no other information given to us. This is a very basic file, and we need to build it up. Okay, so let's go through the steps. Step number 1 is to open the file and save it as they ask you to, which is pretty straightforward in the instructions. Second, it's asking us to open the employees table in datasheet view. So to open it, I'm going to double click this table here, and it's going to open up in datasheet view, as you can see here. Second part of this step is to change the ID field name right here to employee ID and its caption to employee ID with a space. To do that, I need to click on the Fields tab at the top. Then from there, I'm going to click on Name and Caption. Once I click on it, now I can type in the information that it's asking me to. And at this point, I have to make a statement to let you all know that it is absolutely imperative that you spell everything correctly. If you do not, it will then dock you marks and create problems for you later on. So I've got employee ID here for the name, no space, and employee ID for the caption with a space. Click OK. Next step, step 3. In the second and third columns, insert the name quick start fields. Well, be careful when you do this. You want to click to add over here, and instead of selecting anything that you see there, what we need to do is we need to go to more fields, which is also on the Fields tab. More fields, we're going to click it, and then we're going to scroll down until we find the quick start options and name. Once I do that, it's going to automatically populate last name and first name. Step 4. In the fourth column, it's asking us to add a field named date hired with the date and time data type. So what we need to do is first select the type of data that it's going to be, and we said date and time, and then we're going to give it the name date hired. And watch your capitals again, I stress it. Watch your capitals, make sure everything's good, and make sure you press enter. Once you press enter, it will activate that field. Step 5 is similar, but we need to add another element here. So it says in the fifth column, add a field name, department ID with short text data type and a field size of 50. So we're going to go here to the next, and we're going to select short text. And in this case, we need to type in department, so DEPT ID. Don't forget to press enter. We're going to go back and select DEP ID. And up here, again, the fields, table tools, you have a field size box. We need to change it to 50. Once we've set that, it asks us to save and then close the table. So I'm going to go to my disk up here, which saves. And some of you will have an X here beside the employees, but mine is over here, and this will now close the table for us. Step 6 now is asking us to import the records contained in the employee's worksheet, that is the file that you download. So this is the XLS file that you downloaded as part of the assignment package. The reason why we don't want anything open here is because when you're importing data, the table needs to be closed as it is. So in order to import the records, we need to go to external data. We need new data source. So remember, it's an import, not an export. Import new data source from file, and we're going to select Excel. It is at this point that we need to browse for the file that we need. And I have to go and find it, which I believe it is found in my recent places, and comp 2143. Now obviously it's going to be wherever you saved it, but it should look like this. Once you find the file and double click it, you will notice that it's going to have the path here. But the next step is you need to append it. So in this situation, we need to copy all of the information from the Excel worksheet and we need to put it into the employees table. In this database, we're lucky. We only have one table, so it's only going to go there. But some databases, you may have multiple tables. So you need to ensure that you're appending it to the right table. And it's supposed to be employees, and I'm going to click OK. The steps mention nothing of anything else, so you can then be rest assured that you can click through, make sure that's in the right table, it is, and then click Finish. We do not need to save import steps as it has not asked us to do so. We click Close. Now you may think nothing's happened, but that's going to change in the next step. Step 7, in the employee's data sheet, set the column widths the best fit. Okay, well in order to do so, we need to open the table again. Double click. Now we have all this information that wasn't there before. This has all been migrated from the Microsoft Excel file. It wants us to make sure that these are all set to best fit. So we need to make sure that we highlight all of the columns, then right click on the last column. We're going to go to field width, and we're going to choose the best fit option. Now it's going to resize our columns so that they look proper. The second part of step 7 says to sort the data by date hired, and it wants it in ascending order. So what we need to do is click date hired and sort in ascending order, A to Z. The last part of this step says that we want to filter the data so that we only see records from HR. So we go to the department, we go down to the filters here, uncheck them all, and only select HR. Click OK. We should only see 9 records at this point. There are 9 records that meet the criteria of HR. Step 8. It says for the datasheet, set the font size to 10 and the font to Verdana. So basically, we need to select the data set, the entire data set, by clicking the corner button here. We then go to the Home tab, and we go over to our text formatting section, change it to 10, and we change the font to Verdana. And if you have to search for it, then you type in the first few letters, and Verdana should be there. The second part of this question asks us to do the raise cell effect, background color automatic, grid line color to blue, and then save and close the table. Now it specifically references the data sheet formatting dialog box. And for most of us, we forget where that is. But rest assured, it's not so bad. If you go to the text formatting section again, and you go to the bottom right corner, you'll see the datasheet formatting dialog box button. When we press it, it's going to give us the options that it's asking us to set. The first one was raised, cell effect. Second, background color to be automatic. And the last part of this was grid line color, and it said blue accent 1, which is the 5th color in the first row. Once you've selected all of those, you can click OK. Now it's asking us to save and close the table. Perfect. Step 9, create a new table in design view and add the following field named department ID with short text and set the file as table's primary key, the field as the table's primary key. The field size to be 50, the caption to be department ID. Add a second field named department with short text and save the table and call it departments. That's a mouthful, and it is 14 marks, and it's rightfully so. In order to do this, we follow the steps. We go to create. We are creating a table in design view, which is this option in the middle. We click on it, and voila, we've got the design view, which 90% of your tables will be created in this view because it gives you all the options at a glance. The first thing it wanted was the first field to be department ID. And once we do that, we tab over, and it's automatically going to give us short text data type, which is fine. The next part says to make this field the primary key. And the reason why we do that is because this field in this table is unique. This is a unique reference point. So whether it's department ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you'll never have a repeat. So it is the primary key as it is a unique field. Continuing, it says to add a second field. Actually, before we do that, it wants us to change the field size to 50. So let's not forget that. Field size to 50 down here. And it wants a caption of department ID. Be careful what you do. I've had students mess up and forget letters, so please don't. And make sure it looks perfect. All right, so that's the first field of that question. Now, the second field they want was one that's just simply called department. And it should be short text as well. In the step, it doesn't say anything about captions, and it doesn't say anything about field size, so we leave it as it is. The next thing we need to do is save this table. So when we click on the disk, it's going to ask us to name the table. This table is to be called departments. And we make sure we got the spelling correct, and it's plural with an S on the end, and click OK. So now that it's saved, step 10, what they want us to do now is to start populating the data in the table by hand. So we go to change the view to datasheet view, and now we can type in the department IDs that they've given us as well as the descriptions, the department descriptions. Okay, so be very, very careful with these. It takes some time, and I'm going to type them in. And I'm going to make sure that I am not messing up any capital letters, not messing up any letters at all, because like I said, it will only create problems later on in the creation of your database, as well as relationships, in which we are going to talk about shortly. So take your time, type them in, and make sure that they are accurate. Okay, I'm pretty sure I did them right. So we're going to continue on to step 11. This is where it's asking us to make sure that the two columns in this table are selected and best fit again. So field width, best fit. I take this as an opportunity to recheck my the things that I've typed in, make sure that I haven't made any mistake or any mistakes in the spelling or anything like that. And already I found one. See? If I'm not careful, that would have been a problem. So capital improvement. Excellent. Good job. Human resources and parks and recreation. Perfect. So that's step 11 now. I've corrected the issue that I had and I made it best fit. The last thing it wants us to do is save and close the table. Perfect. Step 12 says that we need to create a one-to-many relationships between the two tables that we have in the database. To do that, we need to go to Database Tools at the top. We then need to go to Relationships over here. It's going to pop up a dialog box that's going to show me my two tables. In some machines, the actual tables will show up on the right-hand side of your screen. It doesn't matter if it's a dialog box like this or it shows up over here. The easiest way to get those tables into the view here that we need to make the relationship in, we can double click the first table, double click the second table. And if you do it over here, it should be the same process. Once you've added your two tables to the placemat here, we can close it. Now we should only see two tables. You'll notice that Departments table has Department's ID, its primary key, and you'll notice the Employees table has Employees ID as its primary key. Step 12 is asking us to create a relationship between this Department ID and this one. To do that, we just simply drag down and go over it. It's going to open up the Edit Relationships dialog box. You're going to notice that we are connecting the Departments table and the Employees table with the same ID, the same field, Department ID, Department ID. And we want a one-to-many relationship, which is fantastic. And the last thing they ask us to do is to enforce referential integrity. So I'm going to select that. It does not ask us to choose either of these two, so we do not. Once we have this all set up, we can click Create. Once we click Create, you're going to notice that this line appears between the two tables. This now says they are related, they are linked together. This one represents there can only be one Department ID in this field or in this table, and there could be many Department IDs in this table. Remember, Department ID here is primary key, which means it's typically unique, so there should only be one of each, while there's many opportunities for the Department ID in this table. The next step says, number 13, create a relationships report and then save the report as the name they give you. To do that, all you do is click Relationship Report. It's going to generate it. And now what you need to do is you need to save it. So click the disk at the top. It's going to ask you for the name and you can type it in. So relationships and then for skills _ ACC, which stands for Access 01 for Chapter 1, Grader, and then Homework 1. Okay, so that's what that is. That's what that's all about right there. So make sure you are very careful with this because you will lose marks if you do not type it in 100% accurately. I'm going to click OK. It says then to close the report. So I need to close this report. Then step 14 says save and close any open objects and then close the database completely. So we're going to do that. We're going to save it and then close this relationship. And then our last step will be to close the database when you're ready. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'm going to try and make some more of these for you to help you in your learning journey. And again, I appreciate your time and thanks for watching. Have a great day.